Frying pan, saute pan, saucepan, saucier, stock pot, Dutch oven, braiser, the list goes on. But what's the actual difference between all these pans? And which ones do you really need? I've tested over 60 cookware brands and dozens of pan shapes and sizes. In this video, I explain what each one is designed for and which are actually worth owning. I'll also show you the one pan that seems totally unnecessary, but is surprisingly useful. The frying pan, also known as a skillet, is one of the most essential pieces of cookware you can own. Every kitchen needs at least one. Frying pans have a wide, flat base that gives you plenty of space for browning and searing. And the sides are gently sloped, which makes it easy to slide a spatula underneath food near the edges and toss ingredients. Frying pans come in several materials, but the most popular are stainless steel, carbon steel, cast iron, and non-stick. For most people, I recommend a 12-inch fry pan because it gives you enough room to cook without overcrowding the pan. You can always cook small portions in a big pan, but not the other way around. A saute pan looks a lot like a frying pan, but the shape changes how it cooks. The sides are taller and stand straight up instead of flaring out. The extra height gives you more room for liquids and helps contain splatter. So it's better for dishes like stews, sauces, and braised meats. The downside of the straight sides is that it's harder to slide a spatula underneath food, and you can't really toss or flip ingredients with your wrist like you can with a fry pan. The sloped sides of a fry pan act like a ramp for when you're flipping eggs, but in a saute pan, it just hits the wall and stops. Most saute pans come with a helper handle because they can get heavy when they're full, and they almost always come with a lid. Frying pans usually don't. I'd put the saute pan right on the line between essential and nice to have. You can get by with a frying pan and a larger pot for most cooking, but if you often make one-pan meals or recipes that start with browning and finish with simmering, it's a great addition. Before I get into the next piece, I want to quickly thank Made In for sponsoring this video. Made In was one of the first cookware brands I tested over 7 years ago, and it's consistently been one of the top performers ever since. Every piece you see in this video is from Made In, and if you want to check them out, I've linked to their cookware and my full reviews in the video description. Saucepans and sauciers are both small to medium-sized pots for cooking pasta, rice, soup, steamed vegetables, and sauces. But the subtle difference in their shape actually matters a lot. A saucepan has tall, straight sides and a smaller opening, which help contain liquids and provides plenty of room for steaming. A saucier has sloped sides, a rounded bottom, and a wider opening. The curved bottom lets you stir and whisk without missing the corners, so nothing gets stuck or scorched. The wider opening also allows steam to escape faster, which is ideal for reducing sauces and concentrating flavors. Both are available in many different sizes and materials. For most home cooks, a 3 or 4 quart saucepan or saucier is ideal. 2 quarts works well for boiling eggs and small batches of sauce, but a full box of pasta will be overcrowded. These pans come in many different materials, but I recommend uncoated stainless steel since it won't react with acidic foods. A non-stick coating makes cleaning easier, but in my opinion, it's totally unnecessary for these pans since they're primarily used for liquid-based cooking. Owning one of these pots is essential, but you don't need both. I find myself using the saucier much more often because the rounded bottom makes it easier to stir and clean. A stock pot is the largest piece of cookware in most kitchens. It has tall, straight sides, a wide opening, and 2 loop handles instead of one long handle. The shape gives you plenty of space for large batches of soup, chili, pasta, or homemade stock. Stock pots come in a wide range of sizes. Some go well over 12 quarts, but for most home kitchens, 6 or 8 quart sizes are the most useful. This is one of those pieces that you won't use every day or even every week, but it's still an essential. Sooner or later, you'll need to make a big batch of something, and cooking multiple rounds in a smaller saucepan just isn't practical. A Dutch oven and a stock pot are both large pots, but instead of stainless steel, most Dutch ovens are made of cast iron, usually coated in enamel. The thicker walls make it heavier and slower to heat up, but also much better at holding heat once it's hot. Dutch oven lids are also heavier and fit tighter, which helps trap heat and moisture for slow, even cooking. To show you the difference, I heated similar sized Dutch ovens and stock pots to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, took them off the heat, and measured their surface temperature after 5 minutes of cooling. The Dutch oven surface was significantly hotter than the stock pot. I also boiled 32 ounces of water in each and set them aside with the lids on. After 20 minutes, again, the water in the Dutch oven stayed much warmer than the water in the stock pot. The most common Dutch oven sizes are 5 to 7 quarts, which is large enough for most meals, but still manageable enough to lift and store. They make round and oval Dutch ovens, but I prefer round because it fits better on standard cooktop burners. Since stock pots are thinner, lighter, and heat faster, they're more convenient for boiling and simmering, but a thick, heavy Dutch oven is much better for browning, braising, and slow cooking. You can absolutely get by without a Dutch oven, but if you make a lot of soups, stews, or braised meats, it's one of the nicest nice-to-haves you can own. A braiser is kind of like a cross between a Dutch oven and a saute pan. It has short, sloped sides, a wide cooking surface, and 2 looped handles. Like a Dutch oven, it's made of heavy cast iron, usually coated in enamel, and it comes with a tight-fitting lid. The wide base gives you plenty of room to brown food before adding liquid, and the shallow depth helps everything cook evenly without fully submerging it. That's why braisers are perfect for dishes like short ribs and chicken thighs. You can use a Dutch oven for all the same types of recipes, but a braiser's wider base and lower sides make it easier to brown all your ingredients at once instead of working in batches and removing food between rounds. It's definitely not essential, and it's much lower on my nice-to-have list, but it is helpful if you have the space and budget. A rondeau is similar to a stock pot, but with a wider, flat cooking surface and shorter sides. These pans are available in larger sizes like this 10-quart, so they're great when you're cooking for a crowd or making one-pan meals with a lot of ingredients. The wide surface gives you plenty of space to sear, brown, and fry without overcrowding, and the straight sides help contain liquids or oil splatter. It's perfect for shallow frying chicken cutlets because you can cook several at once with minimal splatter. Rondeaus are more common in restaurant kitchens than home kitchens, where they're used for large batch cooking and braising. They're nice to have if you cook for big groups often, but definitely not essential, especially if you already own a stock pot and a saute pan. A sheet pan, also called a rimmed baking sheet, is one of the most versatile pieces of cookware in your kitchen. You can use it for roasting meats and vegetables, baking cookies, cooking bacon, making pizza, or making full sheet pan dinners. Most are made from aluminum, which is lightweight, inexpensive, and heats quickly and evenly. Non-stick sheet pans clean up easier, but they're not as versatile because most aren't safe to use under the broiler. Sheet pans come in 3 main sizes: quarter, half, and full. The half sheet is most common for home kitchens. It's about 13 by 18 inches. Sheet pans definitely fall into the essential category, and it's worth having 2 or 3 since they stack easily and take up very little space. With multiple sheet pans, you can cook different foods at once or spread out ingredients to avoid overcrowding and get better browning. A roasting pan with a rack is only essential if you cook things like whole turkeys, roast beef, or ham. For smaller foods, a cast iron skillet or sheet pan works just as well. The best roasting pans are 14 to 17 inches long with 3 to 4 inch walls. Walls this height are tall enough to keep juices from spilling over, but shallow enough for air to circulate and brown the meat evenly. Always get one with a rack so the meat sits above the drippings and roasts instead of steams. A griddle is a large, flat pan that sits across 2 burners and gives you tons of space for pancakes, eggs, grilled sandwiches, and smash burgers. Because it covers more than 1 burner, the heat isn't perfectly even, so you need to preheat it slowly for several minutes. Griddles come in cast iron, stainless steel, non-stick, and carbon steel. Maiden's griddle is carbon steel, which is lighter than cast iron and more versatile than stainless steel and non-stick. You can use it on the stove, on the grill, or even over an open flame. Griddles are not an everyday essential piece of cookware for most home cooks, but they're great for converting your grill into a flat top for smash burgers and preventing vegetables from falling through the grates. Woks have wide openings and tall sloped sides. Traditional woks have fully rounded bottoms designed for high-powered wok burners, but most home versions have a flat bottom so they sit securely on standard cooktops. The shape is what makes a wok special. The center at the bottom gets extremely hot while the sloped sides stay cooler. You can sear food in the center and toss it up the sides to slow the cooking and prevent overcooking. And because the opening is so wide and the walls are tall, you can stir and toss aggressively without the ingredients flying out of the pan. For me, a wok isn't essential because anything I can cook in it, I could also do in a fry pan or saute pan. That said, I know a lot of you use your wok as your go-to all-purpose pan, and I totally get that. It really just depends on the type of cooking you do most. A kadai, also known as a karahi, originated in South Asia and has been a staple of Indian cooking for centuries. It looks similar to a wok or a saucier, but with 2 looped handles instead of 1 long handle. It's great for stir frying, simmering sauces, and foods like pakoras and curries. If you cook a lot of South Asian or Indian dishes, it's a helpful addition. If not, there's enough overlap with the saucier that buying this extra piece is not worth it. A pizza steel is a flat slab designed to replicate the high heat of a brick oven inside a regular home oven. To use it, preheat your oven and place the steel on the middle rack for 20 to 30 minutes. Once the steel is hot, Slide your pizza directly onto it with a peel. The hot steel browns the crust quickly and evenly, giving you that restaurant-style texture you can't get by putting a pizza in a cold pan and heating everything together. A pizza steel definitely isn't essential. You can make great pizza on a sheet pan, but it makes a noticeable difference. If you cook a lot of pizza at home, it's a really nice upgrade to have. If you've ever ordered creamed spinach, scalloped potatoes, or baked mac and cheese at a steakhouse, it probably came in a small oval dish called a gratin dish. Traditional versions are made of ceramic or stoneware, but restaurants often use stainless steel because it heats faster and browns more evenly. The word gratin comes from the French term gratiner, which means to broil or to brown. And that's exactly what these dishes do best. Their shallow shape and wide surface help cook food evenly and develop a crisp golden crust while the inside stays soft and creamy. That said, this is definitely one most people can skip. It's nice to have if you make a lot of baked sides or want something to serve food straight from the oven to the table, but it's far from essential for a home kitchen. A butter warmer might seem completely pointless at first, but I actually find it surprisingly useful. It's basically a tiny saucepan, about 3/4 of a quart, and because there's so little metal to heat up, it gets hot fast. It's great for melting butter, warming sauces for 1 or 2 people, heating up a small portion of soup, or boiling a few eggs. Since it's so small, it's quicker, lighter, easier to clean, and easier to store than a full-size pan. It's definitely not essential, and you probably won't use it every day, but when you just need to heat up something small, it's the perfect tool for the job. Honestly, I've been surprised by how often I end up grabbing it. Thanks again to Made In for sponsoring this video. Their cookware not only performs great, but they also offer one of the widest selections of pots and pans across all materials of any brand I've tested. With Made In, you can buy every pot and pan individually or save by choosing one of their curated cookware sets. I've linked to their full cookware collection in the video description if you want to check them out. If this video was helpful, check out this video where I break down the biggest mistakes people make when buying stainless steel cookware. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.